cruising all the way to the upper end of the lake. The lake's about 10 miles long end to end. We're about the halfway point here, so we'll be going up about 5 miles or so. I'll be providing some commentary along the way, talking about the area, answering questions. I'm not going to talk the whole time. I will put the microphone down, let you talk to each other, and just look around. Once we get up there to the upper end, we'll stop at a dock. You guys will have the opportunity to walk over to Bering Falls. It's a short, easy walk. It just takes like 3 or 4 minutes. But we'll stop up there for about 25 minutes, give you guys some time to explore, take pictures, hang out, and then we'll cruise back. The boat we're riding on today is called the Joy 2. This boat was built in the 1980s, as you can tell from the carpeting on the walls and the kind of brown colorway. So we call this lake St. Mary. But the Blackfeet who've lived here for thousands of years, historically their name for this lake was the lake inside, or the walled in. As we come around the corner, we'll be entering into what's called the Narrow. This is the Glacier Valley, Glacier Park Lake. It's pretty deep, about 300 feet down the middle, all the way down the middle of the lake. Usually a glacially carved lake has a pretty consistent shoreline that's uniform. But in this area, we have a little bit of geologic differentiation that made the shoreline not exactly uniform. There's this rock that's off to our right. This tan-colored rock over here is called Alton limestone. It's dolomite in it, and it's much more resistant to weathering than all the other sedimentary rock in this area. So thousands of years during the ice age, it's been ice. And ice carved out these really extreme mountainsides. There's these spires of that same type of rock coming up from the bottom of the lake in different places. Of the water, you see those islands. So that's why we have a couple of islands on the lake, like Wild Goose Island, which you may have taken pictures of on the road earlier. It's because of that Alton limestone. I find it really interesting how much this geology has actually impacted us today, how we still kind of damming up the lake back in that large. Same thing down at Two Medicine, south of here. Two Medicine Lake is kind of dammed up by a big hill of that Alton limestone with 2 wings on either side. I don't really see that, but maybe at some point today you'll see it. The second one down the chain of 4 has 2 separate peaks. The canopy is now open, so sunlight can get right down to the ground, bring up lots of smaller new growth and lots of berries, food for animals, good habitat. The natural cause of fire is lightning. There was no lightning in like the 5 days leading up to it, so we think it was human caused, but we're not exactly sure. Look the exact same. We call those perennial snowfields because they come back year after year. We do have 5 active glaciers that feed into St. Mary Lake. Those just kind of look like snow. The difference between a glacier and a snowfield essentially has to do with size and whether it's moving. The U.S. Geologic Service says the glacier needs to be over 25 kilometers in surface area and over 100 feet in depth on ice. Designated as the national park in 1910. The early days of the park, same name as the road. The early 30s saw the Great Depression, so a reduction in tourism, they're making less money. And then in 1933, they go into the Sun Road, which radically changed the park. People no longer needed to spend a month out here to kind of see all the valleys. They could just drive their own automobile up and over the road. People wanted to stay at campgrounds or maybe more affordable motor inns that were popping up. The chalets lost more money. And then during World War II, the park basically shut down for 5 years or so. Nobody else wanted to invest either, unfortunately. So in 1948, the Park Service had to hire some people in town. And Logan Pass is right below that. So you kind of see like a flat, grassy area. That's where the trail, the big like overlook is. Leave your arms and elbows inside the windows. I'll let you know when we're sitting there. You're going to go down to a trail and take a right-hand turn in the boat so that we can leave by 2 o'clock. Enjoyed seeing Bering Falls. Again, that waterfall is being fed by a glacier, Sexton Glacier. So if you notice kind of that light blue color in the waterfall, it's from that glacier. Not sure how much you guys want to hear my voice, but alright, you want to talk? Alright. Cool. Well, I want to tell you guys a little bit more about geology. I think it's really interesting to think about all the forces time that had to take place for these mountains to look the way they do. Do we have any geologists on the boat with us today? Awesome, no geologists, that's good for me. I'm just going to tell you how these huge sheets of ice formed on top of all that uplifted rock, and slowly those glaciers carved away what we see today. So, sedimentation, uplift, and glaciation. Multiple weeks of -30, those pine beetles kind of die off. So they're not a huge problem up here. But we also have really extreme temperature fluctuations in the winter. We have something called Chinook winds that come over the mountains from the southwest. Those winds are responsible for some of the most freeway in front of us, there's that low ridge with all those dead trees on it. That area burned in 2006, a Red Eagle fire. That was a really big fire. It burned about 70,000 acres. And if you drive on Highway 89 south down towards East Glacier to New Medicine, you drive through that old burn. There's a kind of lodgepole pine trees all coming up really close to the region now. Lodgepole pines are kind of special. They have an adaptation of fire.